So welcome to the podcast. We have Alex here today and Josh.
Hi.
Thanks for being on the show, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for watching and listening on whatever platform that you do so. Really appreciate having you guys here. So today we're going to be talking about a couple different things. We're gonna answer some of your questions. We're going to have some flight test content that we're coming up here in the near future, which we're really excited about. We're going to talk a bit about some community aspects of flight tests and the hobby, and then to see kind of where it goes from there. But first and foremost, we're going to answer some of your guys' questions from the Facebook post that we posted. A lot of good questions.
A lot of really good questions.
A lot of great ones that we really were excited about. We can't obviously answer them all every single time, but we do get to choose some good ones and answer them for you.
One question I just want to head off the right with the bat here. It was a star-shaped cream-filled donut with sprinkles on it, and the icing was, I believe, chocolate.
Dude, that video, if you didn't see the video, you can go check it out on our Facebook page, Flight Test Facebook. It is him. We're asking people to answer questions, whatever.
Do it on purpose. I'm sorry.
And he's just in the background.
Don't tell him. Just have him go watch it.
Oh, that's true. Good idea. Yeah. Thanks, man. Thanks for
it was delicious.
me not putting my foot in my mouth. So I'll start us off real quick. Our good old friend Michael Finley.
Yeah.
Michael Finley.
Hi, Mike.
Love you, buddy. He says, will there be a place for flying the Gremlins away from everyone so we don't interfere with the normal FPV lines? Question mark.
It's a great question.
That is a really good question. My guess is that will be up to the feasibility as far as like the technology, and I would imagine that Chris Thomas will be the judge of that.
Yeah.
If we can get something on the other side of the field and have a limit as to what your milliwatt transmitter on your Gremlin can be. Because I know that at Flight Fest West, we had our expo hall, and I know that people were flying little FPV cars and tiny whoops up there during the event, and I don't think it was causing any problems, but it was a pretty good distance away from the FPV line.
Right.
So.
Well, we got a lot of room, and I think the way that they're kind of making the two lines here is they're going to try to have FPV fun flying on one side and then the FPV drone racing on the other side. And I'd say fun flying, not just fixed wing, but just for people that want to have fun. And the Gremlin's a perfect fit for that. So my guess is that will be over on the opposite side of the corner. And I think that's one good. That's a big learning lesson here. There's drone racing everywhere. It was awesome. People really liked it. But out of the 300 people that wanted to fly FPV, only about 160 that we know of really got the opportunity.
Right. Yeah.
And they got to go through a lot, but that's still not for the people that wanted just to go cruise around the skies and fly. They had to race.
Yep.
And we want to make sure they can do all
we want to be able to accommodate all of you that maybe don't just want to race but just want to fly around.
Yeah.
So good question, Michael. Appreciate that, and hopefully we'll be able to get all that information to you either at the event, obviously, or before the event, depending on how that all works out. So great question, Michael. Josh, want to go next one?
Yeah. Okay, this is from Dwight Suter. This is my first year of coming to Flight Fest as a pilot. Are there places to charge batteries? What equipment or safety devices are needed? And are there any do's and don'ts or etiquettes I should be aware of in approaching the flight line, etc.? This is so cool, Dave. I'm sorry, Dwight. This is really cool because Flight Fest is a perfect place to come for your first time experience flying. You'll never find a friendlier crew. So number one, don't be stressed.
Yeah.
Bring obviously your planes, your radios, your batteries. Do we have someone manning the battery charge station this year?
I'm unaware of exactly who will be there. I know that last year we had Venom. We had Venom last year, and I think High Tech.
I wanted to say High Tech was going to do it.
I've heard. I don't know.
We're going to have somebody there, I believe.
Yeah.
So, but there will be places to charge.
There will be places.
Like
so
basically, you drop off your battery, and there's a crew there that manages it and watches it and charges it properly.
Yep.
And then you come back with a ticket, and then you pick it up when it's ready to.
It's like a coat check, but really cool version of it. And as far as etiquette and stuff, really good questions here. Safety is number one. People first.
Yes.
There's a couple different lines that you're going to see when you're going to Flight Fest, and one is for spectators not to cross, one is for pilots not to cross, and you'll see pilot stations at each flight line.
Right.
Generally, whenever you're flying in a flight line, there's going to be a beginner flight line, a main flight line, a heli flight line, a 3D flight line, etc. If you're a beginner and you want to just kind of fly in a chill environment, go to the beginner flight line, and what they do is they call something a pattern. And the pattern is where you're flying parallel to the runway, and then you do like a horse track pattern, and you fly that back and forth. So everyone will generally be taking off and landing in one direction based on where the wind is. You follow that pattern, and you fly a circuit, and you just keep flying that circuit until you're ready to land. And if you want to do a loop, roll, have some fun, you do that usually on the long parallel run to the runway. and that keeps everyone from hitting each other. But here's once again the cool thing: some people are really sticklers about that. The people at Flight Fest, they know that the whole goal is getting in the air and having fun. You're gonna have mid-airs, you're gonna have that. Everyone is really great about it.
Yeah, and it's also a well-known fact that there's a lot of beginners always at Flight Fest, and they're always welcome. And it's kind of a fly at your own risk. That's why we always say bring the people you love and the planes you don't, because chances are you'll end up flying something in a combat anyways.
And besides that, the only other thing I'd encourage people to do is whenever you go to get on the field, just for safety and let people know, you say on the field, and then you run on the field and you keep your eyes up. And then generally people will kind of keep their patterns up higher. You grab your plane, grab your wreckage, whatever it is, and then you say off the field when you're off, and that way they know it's game on again.
Basic communication. Like I would never hesitate to yell out anything as long as it's something you're doing on the field. Right. Low pass. If you want to do a loop, like nobody's going to get mad at you for communicating too much.
Right.
And especially when you go on the field, that's when you definitely have to communicate. But even when you're coming in for a landing, taking off, you just shout it out and just let everybody know. Landing. And obviously the typical stuff like you want to fly with a spotter. But all of this stuff will all also be covered in our pilot meeting. Just to give you a reminder, every morning we have a pilot meeting just where we get all the pilots there together and just go over the basic safety stuff and also get to know each other too, which is cool.
I promise you, brother, you're going to have a lot of fun. It's not going to be a stressful environment. It's going to be a great memory for you, and look forward to meeting you.
Yep, and that's for that question was picked for all those new pilots that will be coming to Flight Fest, so that everybody knows and is on the same page. Like you said, we're going to have a pilot meeting, so you definitely want to be available for that. And that will be that's communicated on the list on FlightFest.com. You can go check it out. We'll have a list of everything going on there at the event. So make sure you're aware of that and be there in that time.
Yep.
Alex?
Are we just going down the list?
Yeah, we'll just go down the list.
Okay. Will there be any issues with possibly having too many DJI Phantom Mavic type multi-rotors in the air at the same time? Or will there be restrictions on flying these types of things at Flight Fest East? I'm thinking about interference. I have never had any trouble with the control link. But in general, regardless of how many DJI drones or whatever are in the air, just in general at Flight Fest, I've always had trouble with the video downlink. It is always it's not terrible, like you can fly it, but there have been multiple occasions, both at East and West, where you totally lose video for a little bit. And it's just all the radio traffic, from all the different stuff, not only DJI stuff, but everything. So just keep that in mind. You can fly those things anytime.
Yep.
My advice would be to keep them away from the pattern flying and the different flight lines. The nice thing about them is you can punch them out quite a bit farther than most line of sight flyers can fly their planes. But just keep that in mind. If you do lose signal, don't panic. Just keep it line of sight. Make sure you can see it at all times, and you should be good. Nice thing is the return to home, the radio link, all that stuff works pretty well from my personal experiences. Right. But I have noticed that between live streaming and just regular video recording, I've lost video quite a bit. And it's even when you have video, it's pretty laggy, even on a Mavic.
So one thing is definitely at Flight Fest West, we saw a ton more Mavics and Phantoms up in the air at one time. We'll definitely in pilots meetings and updates and announcements, if we start seeing that there's like a stepping issue where things are getting stepped on, we'll let the general public know and the flyers know, hey, let's try to keep it to no more than 3 Phantoms at a time up in the air, something like that.
And if I'm not mistaken, those do not have an issue with the FPV racing stuff, correct? Right?
No, you're not going to step on any of the analog FPV guys.
They must use some weird alien technology.
They do.
I mean, it's,
DJI
that Mavic, I've never had, especially with the goggles, such a great experience flying FPV in a drone.
Yeah, and actually, going back to what I was saying, I do remember now at Flight Fest West, it was actually the first Flight Fest that I was flying a Mavic, and the Mavic actually was a lot better. And the Mavic uses OcuSync, but if you are flying like a Phantom 4 or Phantom 3 using the light bridge, that was the one that had a lot of breakups. So if you are flying like something like that, just keep that in mind. You are probably going to have video issues. You might not, but if you do lose video, just don't freak out. It's okay.
Indeed. Thank you, Dave. Appreciate that. That's for all those Mavic and DJI owners out there. All right, Thomas Walter, a.k.a. Bolu, says, will there be build tutor sessions at Flight Fest, and how or when can we register for those? By using those slashes, I basically asked 4 questions.
I like
Thank
that.
you. Appreciate it, Bolu. You the man. That's awesome. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, we're
Yes,
gonna
to
have
all
some
of it
different
actually.
things.
Will there be build? Yeah, many different aspects. We have two, and what we did is because we had to increase camping and everything. It's the format's a little different.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a flight test central, I guess you can say.
Right.
Instead of 100-foot tents, so we have 140-foot tents. So instead of 100, 180, we have 140 and 140-foot tents. So building, yes. The other cool thing about this too is what we learned at Flight Fest West is giving people the ability to bring their little pop-up tents. Keeps the build tents a lot more open.
Right.
And so we actually are moving the runway a little bit further away, so there's room for the pop-up tents so people can have their plane stationed there, which will give you more room for those wanting to build. As far as tutor sessions at Flight Fest and how, the beginner line is going to have lots of volunteers. Those people are great with coming down and helping people either tune, test fly, troubleshoot, etc. And then also the community cast crew, they're going to be leading a beginner build series. So we're going to be using the FT Simple Cub, and that FT Simple Cub is going to be led by Eddie Black, Ben Greenewald, Joel Cannon. Oh my goodness, I'm forgetting the rest.
A bunch of those guys.
A bunch of them. Oh my goodness.
There's more than you can probably name at the moment.
But that will be released, I believe, within the week for a sign up for that. So please, there's only a limited amount of spots. And then I thought I muted this. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. That's embarrassing.
This happens every so often, but we love him.
Yeah,
it's all good. That's awesome.
The community cast. I'm sorry. The after hours. There's going to be something also called a build along, and it's not going to be a lead build, but a group of friends building together, and that's going to be around the Bloody Baron and the Bloody Wonder.
Awesome,
nice.
So anyone that wants to be part of that and stuff, those will be posted time wise. There's going to be signups online for the beginner series.
Great.
And I'm really excited to see a whole bunch of little FT Simple Cubs flying together.
That's gonna be fantastic. It's gonna be like the episode.
Yeah.
All right.
Boogaloo.
Next one, Josh.
Okay, let's see. We have Wes Scheidman. Did I get that right? Scheidman?
Yeah, that looks about right.
All right, cool. If you guys could go back to the beginning of flight test and change one thing, what would it be and why?
Deep.
That's a deep question. Deep. I think it should be a 3-part question because I bet you all three of us probably have a different, because we all have 3 different beginnings.
Probably.
Really.
Yeah.
I'm less in this question if in my opinion, because I haven't been here really from the beginning. So
here's a really cool thing: is the values and the vision of flight tests from day one has always been to embrace the community, to enable them to get in every aspect of flight, and to love on them. We love the people more than planes, and the planes are a vehicle to something more special. If there's something I could change about that, oh my goodness, I don't know. I mean, I think there was a divine plan through every aspect and every chapter of flight test, and I'm grateful for every one of them. So I think here's the only thing I would change is I'm not a fan of drama outside of the crashes and the crazy. And I think in the early days of flight test, that level of drama was somehow seen as a need for success in the show. So if I was ever going to take one thing out, you'll notice about a year into flight test, we really focus on the relationships between friendships flying together. I would say that could have been done earlier. That's the only thing I would really pick on is, the drama's in the planes. It doesn't need to be in the people.
Right.
People get enough of that in life.
And I can kind of expound on that a little bit more too. And I wasn't obviously there at the very beginning, with you and Chad. I came into the picture about 2 or 3 years later, and I've been there ever since. I think I recently just had my 4-year anniversary a couple months ago.
Congratulations!
3 months ago. Or so. So yeah, it's been a pretty awesome ride. But if I could go back to that beginning where it was you guys, I would change the motive of starting flight test from the beginning, because if you go back and you watch, originally the show was created as a show that we wanted to watch, and that you hear Chad, the founder, say that a couple different times.
I wanted a show that I wanted to watch.
Yeah. And when I get that, and I love watching cool videos. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But I feel like if we would have created the show based around what the vision has morphed into over the years from the beginning, I think we would be further along in carrying out our vision in the long run.
Right.
So that's one thing I would go back and change if I had the power to. As far as me personally, when my beginning, I don't know. I've been here for about 4 years. When I started, we were in a garage. It was just me and Josh and his wife Jen, and I was actually cutting planes out on the laser at that time. I don't know. Maybe approach Adams a little bit earlier about improving the foam board.
Foam board, yeah.
Nice.
Little water.
That's a good one.
There'd probably be less dead flight test planes. A lot of flight test planes have been decommissioned because of moisture.
That's awesome. That's a great question,
that's
Wes.
good insight.
Getting us in our thought process mode here. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
Gotta
good
love
question.
that. So great one, Wes. Appreciate that.
All right,
David Mifsud.
Mifsud.
Hi, David.
Ever think about doing an Australian tour?
I'd love
I
that.
know that we have a lot of followers in Australia. I see it all the time on the forums. I see it all the time on YouTube, and I mean everywhere. Flight test related stuff. They all want the foam. They all want different things, but obviously it's a massive amount to ship out there. But there's also a lot of people that just want us to come out and do some episodes or just have a little bit of fun out there with them. So
Flight Fest Australia sounds awesome.
you think that might be a thing in the future?
2018, our goal is still to go to Europe and do a
Right.
Flight Fest Europe in Germany and work with the great folks at Grobner. So, that's not going to be every year at Europe. What our goal is to hop around, just like with different Flight Fest events. Besides the East one, we'll probably hit the West Coast on one location or the other,
Right.
and so forth. So I would love to get to Australia. And as far as trying to get our foam board and our materials down, I really want people to have first the ability to scratch build anything they want.
Right.
Let the kits and stuff come as they need to. But it's amazing how that water-resistant foam board has really enabled a lot of people to get in the hobby. So we are working on that.
Cool.
Getting distribution to Australia and pretty much anywhere that you want to get this foam, we want to make it
Right.
happen.
Yep.
So lots of great announcements will probably happen within 2017 about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would love the fellowship. The only thing that's scary is I see some really big spiders in Australia.
Dude,
I mean, they're like the size of a pie plate.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how I
Everything
feel
over there
about
is
that.
kinda
They're
scary.
large and in charge, and
Yeah.
they can pretty much do a number on you. So
I would love to fellowship with the Australian flight test family. That would
Cool.
be pretty cool.
Yeah, so all of you people out there in New Zealand or Australia or around the world, we're looking to come out and to see you at
Yeah.
some point in time, hopefully in the near future. But we will keep you updated on that because that's obviously you guys are important to us. Everybody's important to us in the community. But we'd love to come out and check you guys out there. So let's do one more, Alex. Let's do Timothy Marcotti. I think that's his name.
All right. Timothy asks, can you make speed build kit for a giant sea duck? I want it bad.
Hey, was this before?
This was before we shot yesterday.
This gentleman's seeing the future.
Right?
Holy
so
cow.
that's why I chose it. So Josh,
Wowzers.
expound, my friend.
All right. Well, here's the funny thing is we just shot another Gremlin episode, and on some new features with new Gremlin frames and stuff like that. And we brought out my son's monster sea duck that he built.
Yes.
And believe it or not, it still survived, but it's incredibly saggy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the saggiest foam plane I've ever seen in my life, but it flew great.
Yeah.
We had so much fun. I was like, okay, we got to kit this.
Looks
thing.
like an old wise man sea duck.
with two sad eyebrows, you know.
With like skin flapping on the top. Oh my goodness.
It was, but
Wrinkles.
it still flew fantastic. So
Yeah.
my answer is it's like about 20 sheets of foam. It's not hard to put together. You just need a big build area, and it does come apart if you have a minivan or a truck. It will travel nice. So we'll do our best to try to kitify that. I think if we're ever going to kit a big foam plane, that's the one to kit.
Yeah.
It is a good one. Though I think a lot of our planes would be awesome that size.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Well, there's a certain reward you
storage.
get with the big monster sea duck. I don't know how to describe it. It's like a big rubber band powered plane in the air, but you can fly it in heavy wind, light wind. It flies really good. So, look for that. I want to rework it where there's lots of wood bracing so it doesn't get saggy after a year, and it has to have some longevity to it more than what Michael's looks like. Can we do one more?
Yeah,
because
for sure.
this actually was a really good question. Samuel Phelps.
Right.
Will you be selling Gremlins and apparel through Grobner or any way to get one before or in the UK? So basically, he's asking, are we going to be able to get Gremlins and stuff from Grobner?
Yeah.
Right now, I'm not sure about that, but there is a solution because of what you guys are, giving us the opportunity with international shipping. We are getting better rates than ever. And the neat thing about the Gremlin and about the apparel is it all ships first class very easily. We have our best discounts ever. And look, if it's not right now, look in the near future for some of our international shipping to be lower than it's ever been, specifically in first class. So the models, when you cross over that 27-inch length, it jumps up to a whole nother world. And if you're buying the Mighty Minis that are 20 inches long, and you'll kind of see that box size, we can ship those first class. But there are some cheaper solutions for specifically the Gremlins. So
And that's awesome.
the weird thing is, obviously, with Graupner, their power packs are amazing, but they're putting Graupner motors. I'm not sure if there's a relevant Graupner motor to power the Gremlin.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine that they'd want to be selling Emax motors when they're a Graupner company. They're known for their motors and stuff. So if you really want one, you'll be able to ship one really cheap from the U.S.
That's good. Well, that's fantastic. Thanks
Good to know.
Thanks for updating. And like I said, thank you so much for your guys' questions. Obviously, we want to get to those as much as possible because you guys are why we do what we do. So continue to ask. We'll continue to answer because we want to hear what you guys want to hear.
And we'll keep pulling from that list of questions, too. I saw a lot of really good ones.
Yep.
I see a couple I want to answer, at least for next time, too.
Yep, for sure. There's
awesome.
more than we can ever answer in one podcast. Maybe we'll devote a whole podcast at some point in the near future to a question and answer, and we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah,
but,
thank you for that.
But yeah, and we'll be looking for new things to do in the future. And I just want to plug this because we just did some stuff earlier this morning. If you have someone that you want to see on the podcast, there's a forum thread that has just been built to allow for all of you on the forum, all of you in the community, to just in one nice little area to post of who you'd like to see on this podcast. So you can go there, visit the page, see what everybody else is talking about, see what they want to see, let us know what you want to see and who you want to hear from. We're going to try to get some of those people on here. So to make it interesting, to also hear from people outside of the flight test community, as well as somebody in experts in the industry, those kinds of things, maybe other YouTube channels, all those kind of different things. So we want to hear what you want to hear.
Pilots of different kinds,
exactly.
3D pilots, heli pilots.
There's so many
pilots.
there's so many out there that we want to feature these people, and this is just a great platform to do so. Super simple. They can expound upon what they want to talk about, and you guys get a lot of information in one little setting. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, go there, check it out on the forum, Flight Test forums, and we'll get your info. So the first thing we want to talk about today is actually something that we have been kind of in the works with for probably the past 2 or 3 weeks now. I got the opportunity to start chatting with an individual. His name's Kevin. He's from Lugas Studios. It's either Lugas or Lugas. I've never actually asked him what it is, but and they are actually the creators of the Liftoff Simulator.
Amazing simulator.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
For those of you guys that don't know, the Liftoff Simulator, it's like a FPV drone racing mini quad specific simulator. So it's not like real flight where you can try a little bit of everything RC. This is specifically designed and focused on just mini quads, more specifically FPV.
Yeah.
I don't even think you can fly line of sight, but it's actually pretty cool. I've been playing around with it for a while. Actually, I don't know if it was the same guy, but Tony Cake got us in touch with them when they first started developing it, and they gave us some licenses to it way back. I think when it was still in beta, and
it was good then.
And it was good.
It was really impressive.
It was good, but I kind of played it for a while, enjoyed it, and then kind of I got went on to other things. I'm a video gamer, so I'm always like playing different things. But recently, probably about a month or two ago, I reinstalled it on my computer, downloaded it off of Steam. And I opened it up, and it's like a completely different game or simulator, I guess. Like they have improved it so much since the first time I tried it, from everything to the graphics and like the gameplay, the physics, and everything like that. Specifically, the physics. The physics have really improved pretty drastically. To now, it actually kind of to date it when it came out seems like a long time ago, but it really wasn't. But the kind of like the flagship quad when the simulator first came off was the original Vortex 285.
Yes.
The one with the cylindrical booms, and which seems like that was forever ago, but really it was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, November of 2015 is when the game was launched.
In fact, I remember when we went to Europe with Immersion, which was in 2014. I remember they had the prototype for the original Vortex, 3D printed, and now that obviously the Vortex has had multiple iterations.
Right.
We're even supposed to be getting a FT version of the Vortex 150.
Yes,
that's awesome.
Hopefully soon.
Maybe we can also get that, have them put it in the simulator as well.
That would be super cool.
It's pretty cool. I don't know how much we can talk about it, but I'm excited about it.
No, and that's a great point. Is that we've been talking about it the last couple of weeks now because we're actually moving forward with them to partner with them to bring some content to you guys in the future. So that's one of the big reasons why we want to talk about on the podcast, because what they do is very similar to what we do.
Yeah.
We take RC planes, power packs, RC related content, and we want to hear from you. We want to hear from the community. We want to get your feedback so that we can continue to grow, and we can continue to grow you, bring more people into the hobby, get as many people into the hobby as possible, beginners, doesn't matter. And they essentially have the exact same motto, as it were, vision, to do so. They literally, they need community feedback to continually update their product.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what I was having an email conversation with Kevin, and we're talking about all these different things, and he said that essentially about 80 to 90% of what they do is based on community feedback, other quad pilots, different people in the industry, people who use the product. So there's actually a place on their website that you can just comment and give feedback, and they have like a 95% rating from their feedback. That's very helpful and all that stuff. So that's something that I thought was really cool, and that's why I wanted to reach out to Kevin at Lucas Studios, because it was very close to our vision.
Yeah. Well, I love also, I mean, they really took the whole experience of what someone's going to have when they fly, a race quad, right down to the static. You can turn the static on and off. But as you choose a different motors, a different angle, the disciplines are real life.
Yeah.
It's not like where you play a game and say, okay, yeah, I get the gist of the controls, so let's jump to the real thing. You can really actually hone your skills.
Yep.
You can dial in a motor that's equivalent to yours. I mean, they have name brand motors, Lumineer motors. I think they're all spelled a little different, but they're tuned to really give you the best experience of what that quad's going to feel like. And I really like that, because that tells people what kind of experience they're going to have and gives them a level of comfort they need to take it on.
100%.
Yeah, and I think the early days, way back when we started with FPV Freerider, which was kind of like an indie developer who just made it had like one or two maps, and it's come so far from there. And obviously, I don't think I guess knock on wood, one day I'm sure we'll get to that point, but it's going to be a long time before it's exactly the same as flying a real mini quad when you're outside. Right. But that being said, the simulator is close enough that you can vastly not only improve your skills, you can totally learn how to fly on a simulator.
Right.
And that muscle memory, it translates almost identically into real life. The nice thing about simulators is I reinstalled Liftoff about a month ago, and I've been putting in like a half hour or an hour here and there, every late at night, stuff like that when I'm bored. And I think I've gotten up to about 15 hours or so of playtime because on Steam it tells you how much you've played the game, and I'm up to about 15 hours of playtime on Liftoff. And for you to get that much flight time burning real batteries outside,
Average batteries like 3.5 minutes.
it would be quadruple, I'd say even 10 times that amount of time it would take you to get that amount of time on the sticks, because literally you crash, you hit a button and you take off again. Whereas in real life, you crash, or even 2.5, 3 minutes later on a mini quad, your battery's dead. You got to land it, you got to unvelcro, you got to take that battery out, you got to put a new battery in, rebind it, arm it, and then put your goggles. It adds up very, very quickly. Yep. And that's not to mention if you crash, you have to go out and walk and get it. So it's basically just like a turbocharged route of building that muscle memory.
Right.
And honestly, like no exaggeration, I've always liked chasing planes, but when it comes to just like going out and flying through trees and doing like freestyles, a lot of people call it, I've never really been that great at it. And honestly, within the past month, because of this simulator, I'd say that I've doubled my skills.
Yeah.
And I've also transitioned from being thumbs to pinching. And not to say one way is better or another, but
you just really made a lot of people sit up and a lot of people get really angry.
Yeah, well, here's the interesting thing. When I fly FPV mini quads, I'll pinch now, but when I fly line of sight, either quads or airplanes, I still use thumbs, which is doesn't make any
so
sense.
You're ambidextrous.
Yeah, I switch hitter. But it really is a fast track to really hone your skills.
Yes.
I would recommend if you have a half hour or an hour, especially if the weather's bad, rather than trying to go out and fly in crappy weather, hop on the simulator and really just get some serious practice in it. It's a really good way to build your skills.
My youngest son Michael, actually he's at work with me today, and
Oh,
he's been flying the quads, and I walked down, I'm like, where did you learn this? and he's been using my computer, and I have Liftoff on it, and he practices and practices and practices. I never saw him really fly that much, you know, and he takes out his little race quad, and he's just going nuts with it. I'm like, okay, I can see where you're getting these skills from. So it's really cool to see how people can jump right in, but also they're not breaking the props, they're not, you know, blowing up the batteries and stuff. That will come.
Yeah, and that's a good point that you make there, Josh, is that breaking props, blowing up batteries, whatever it may be, batteries can be expensive. Yeah. I mean, to get 15 hours, like Alex is saying,
they are expensive.
Like to get 15 hours, just to think, let's say you have 10 batteries at $30 a battery, right? That's $300, right? Plus you have 10 batteries. After you're done with those 10 batteries, you got to charge all those.
Yeah.
So now you're on the ground for hours.
Yep.
Right. So at least a day or more, and now you got to wait until all those charge, and then you're back in maybe 2 days later.
10 batteries gives you about 35 to 40 minutes of flight time.
Right.
So, and a couple of things too that's really cool is you can use almost any kind of transmitter, anything that you can hook up USB.
That's exactly right.
You can use on this thing. And now using a real RC transmitter is what I would recommend. Use the closest thing to what you actually fly a real mini quad with, if you have a mini quad. But if you don't, the cool thing is you can use an Xbox controller. You can use a USB gaming controller if you want. And it's not going to be as one-to-one as far as like when you transition into a real mini quad, but it is going to still help you build
that muscle memory.
The muscle memory. I credit to this day, I was able to jump in and fly FPV pretty quickly back when I was flying tricopters and stuff like that. And I credit that to playing Battlefield 3, flying the helicopter. It's the same controls pretty much, except it's kind of weird because on that game the throttle or up and your collective pitch on a helicopter was your triggers. So right trigger was up and left trigger was down. But then it is a little weird. But one of the other things I've learned too from just practicing on the simulator. A real good tip that I kind of learned, actually Ian kind of taught me, is you fly the quad on the simulator as if it were a real quad. And that that might sound a little crazy, but it's super easy when you're in a virtual world and you're in a simulator. It's super easy to just like jam on a throttle and just like do the craziest thing, hit the craziest gaps you could ever imagine. But if you get into the mindset and you immerse yourself and you actually imagine, okay, this is my quad, I'm going to go burn a whole battery pack, see if you can fly for 3 minutes without crashing, but also like do some tricks. And then, so that's one tip. Another good tip that I've learned too is go out with a purpose. So, I've learned that going out and flying for 5-10 minutes and just work on doing your rolls. Just pin the stick and see if you can do a quick snap roll and come out completely level, and just keep doing that. And that's how you build that muscle memory. Yeah. Another tip is just like flying low. Just do some real low to the ground, less than 1.5 feet to the ground, just high speed cruising, and see how long you can do that, and build that throttle control. Another big tip is if you do have a real mini quad in real life, try to match your simulator quad settings, because you can adjust all of this in the simulator. Right. Try to adjust your quad and the simulator settings to your real life quad, or vice versa. Just get them to match. So when you transition from one to the other, from simulator to real life, it's going to have the same feel. Yeah. So
understandably so. And that's like I said, we could go probably on all day of talking about this simulator and how awesome it is. But we'll wait until the video comes out. Yeah. They're doing some cool stuff. Yes. They're doing some new stuff, some updates, as they always do. They have bi-weekly updates. Yes. The one coming out soon is supposed to be pretty cool. And so we're gonna go in depth in all of this, way more than we're doing here on the podcast, and you'll get to see it in live action, not live action. You get to see it in action live on the video, etc. And so I want to kind of end this segment with a quote that I had from Kevin from the email, and this is just to show the vision and show why we believe in it so much and why we want to partner with them to do a video. He says that, I feel that this is a great example of how we evolve Liftoff. It shows our development process, how the community is involved, and how we try to improve the game on a constant basis. This development process and the involvement of the community is as much part of the DNA of Liftoff as the actual features and content of the software.
So cool.
That's a president of a company who's doing this Liftoff Simulator. Obviously, it's a paid simulator. It's $20, which is not anything at all, especially with the benefits you get from it. But he believes in it so much that he realizes it's bigger than himself.
Yeah.
Right. Just like Flight Test is bigger than any one of us, this game is bigger than him. It's the community that make it happen. So that's such a huge deal for me and for us here at Flight Test. That's why we want to partner with this.
Yeah. And it's really rare. This vision and that discipline is not shared over everyone in the industry.
Right.
And we really want to celebrate people that really get it.
Exactly. And so just to let you guys know, there'll be a link down below. You can go check that out. They are having, just one little plug here, they are having a summer sale actually right now going on. I think it's 15 or 20% off. But it ends July 5th. So go and grab it. It's going to be like
all kinds of crazy deals on Steam.
Yeah.
Including Liftoff.
Yeah, awesome stuff. So go and check that out. We'll have links below. That does end July 5th. So if you're looking to get it, you can get a little cheaper and it'll be a lot of fun. So and it's already cheap in general. So, what I want to do to end today's podcast, to be honest with you, is to showcase, like we do all the time, the community. And the thing that we're going to talk about is actually an awesome little tidbit of info called the mentor nomination thread. And I believe I'm not mistaken, and I'll have to check again, but I believe it was started by Fred, who's one of our moderators.
Yeah, he's such a great guy.
He's a fantastic guy, and there's a lot of people on the forums.
Flying Monkey, by the way.
Yes, Flying Monkey, indeed. Yeah. He will not be at Flight Fest, just so you guys know. We talked about it last podcast. Unfortunately, he's going to try to get the next one, but it is what it is. Maybe he'll come to the South one.
South one, there's no excuses, Fred.
Right, yeah. No, you heard it here first, Fred. So what this nomination...
We haven't announced the South one yet.
I mean, if we have a South one, we're coming to you, buddy.
Love it.
Oh, we don't edit these, do we?
No, we don't. No, it's all over. So if we have a South. So the mentor nomination thread started by Fred. Essentially, the way it works is you go on there and you nominate the people on the forum that either helped you get into the hobby, maybe answered your first question, maybe answered a bunch of your questions, someone who has kind of walked alongside you.
A friend on the field.
Exactly. And maybe it's not even a beginner. Maybe it's you've been in the hobby for a long time and you just had a lot of these maybe crazy questions about quads or about planes and you're trying to get more experienced, and there's these people that have just helped you along the way that have walked alongside you. They want you to nominate them, and then they're going to actually elevate them to a new color, I guess it would be, so that they're now a mentor, so you know who are those mentors. So they're like either in blue or in green or whatever. And so what I love about this is that Fred and a lot of the guys on the moderators on the community forums have realized that there are people that need to be recognized, which is awesome, really cool. But it's not about the recognition. It's about bringing people alongside each other to allow them to have a good experience in the hobby and to allow them to answer questions when we know sometimes this hobby can be hard to be approached because of all the technical information that's involved.
It's been our biggest start with Flight Test, is getting people in the hobby in a fun and creative way.
Well, I also think that's part of the reason why we've had the success that we've had is because of how unapproachable the hobby's always been. And with the power of the internet, we've been able to help people get into the hobby. The hobby's been around for 100 years. More, even more than that. People have been models and trying to make them fly for a long, long time now. And it wasn't until recently, I'd say within the past like 10 years, it keeps getting more and more approachable rather than the other way around, which is pretty cool.
And ironically, it's more and more approachable with things that didn't exist within the hobby industry. Electronics, the gyros, the technology. The mentors, and this is what I really love about this, is oftentimes in forums and everything, moderators are kind of like the head honchos. With Flight Test, we want to really showcase the servants. That's where our heart is and stuff. There's talent. People that are talented are great, but unless you're investing that talent and enabling other people to have a good experience, it's just self-absorbed. So, and I don't mean this. I hope that doesn't sound provocative, but I hope people hear my heart in this. We really want to showcase that people have a passion for enabling other people to get in the hobby and to do something positive in their life. And this thread is a perfect avenue to do that. Now, that being said, all of our moderators on our forums and across Flight Test are the best people in the world. They're incredible. So I'm definitely not making any dig, but if you generally go into internet culture, there's kind of like a separatist group. You know what I mean? Of people that have gotten there.
It's a hierarchy.
This is the perfect opportunity to really just thank the people that are actually making pilots within the forums. And oftentimes what you're going to find is most of them are the moderators.
Right. Yeah.
Which is really cool.
Our moderators are also mentors.
Yes.
Whether you like it or not, they are more a mentor more often than a moderator, which is really great to see. So go and check it out. Go and give that forum thread some love. Nominate the people that have helped you get it, because we want to know. I read those. We see those. Let the moderators know. Let everybody in the forum knows who has helped you and why they've helped you, and now, to be honest with you, that just grows the culture to where now you're now able to help others.
You're
so it's
people with
a
the people that
ripple
help
effect.
people.
It's a domino effect. So go and participate in that, because we want to know who really has been innovative as well as inclusive to as many people as we possibly can be. So everybody that are nominated, thank you so much. Everybody that's been nominating, thank you so much. The moderators, everybody on the forum family, you guys have been fantastic. So thank you for all that you do for us and the community, because I wanted to bring light to that, because that's an integral part of what we do.
Absolutely.
So as far as that's concerned, Alex and Josh, thank you so
Thanks for
much
having
for
us.
being
Yeah,
here.
thank you.
Community and people watching, thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Also, if you have not subscribed yet, please consider doing so. We obviously have a whole lot of content almost every single day of the week, almost at this point. But we want to let you know that there's other content besides podcasts, and there's vlogs, there's episodes. So go and check that out. Hit the notification button to be notified of that. And we will see you guys.
Real quick, dude,
Yes.
that's just for people on YouTube.
Right.
For normal podcast listeners who are listening to on your phone, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Google Play.
Yeah.
That helps us out so much. Good or bad review, we want to hear what you think.
Exactly.
And that will actually help other people find our podcast. So thank you guys so much, and we'll see you
We'll
later.
see you guys
next
next
time.
time. Deuces.